Vanessa was 18 months old when she first got tubes put in both ears. The tubes grew out and she got an infection. When she healed up from that infection, she had a hole in her eardrum. Vanessa got a major ear infection. We went in to see the nurse practitioner, immediately referred us to an ENT. He said that 75% of her eardrum was gone. It had just literally burst with the infection. He recommended surgery to repair it. They would go behind the ear lobe and cut behind there, create an eardrum from some of her own skin and repair it.
I remember that my ear smelled like a rotten egg, and it smelled so bad, and I knew it was my ear because I put my finger in there and I'd take it out and I'd smell it and I'd be like, oh, that smells awful. And then, well, my mom came in my room and she's like, Vanessa, what is that awful smell? And I'm like, well, it's my ear. I went down real fast into the water, came back up, and I had this excruciating pain in my ear. It felt like something had just burst, and I felt something pop. I heard it pop, and I cried and cried for hours.
She went back to Dr. Berline, and she had had appointments all along, but he said there was a small hole. He didn't really elaborate on the fact that her eardrum was brittle around her 7th grade year. We went back to have a checkup, and he did not have a very good report. Not only was her eardrum having a hole in it, but it was trying to mend itself, and so these threads of skin were trying to come together, and instead of being able to come together, they threaded on into the inner ear, and he felt like that was a concern and needed to do surgery again. In the 7th grade, Vanessa was referred to a specialist.
Vanessa was diagnosed with the need for PE tubes, something to allow the pressure to be released from the eardrum. And after the PE tubes had some difficulties and she continued having problems, it was determined that she had what was called a cholesteatoma, which is because of a perforation of an eardrum. It allows the skin to go down into the inner bones area and destroy. And what it did was destroy the bones, and it kept on growing, thereby actually becoming a tumor that, if it would have been allowed to grow, it would have caused a lot of pressure, deafness, but also there could have been other nerve damage and other things as well.
And we waited a year before we went to that specialist. In the 9th grade, we went to the specialist. He explained to us what was going on. She had the condition called cholesteatoma, so he recommended surgery to replace the eardrum, get all the cholesteatoma out. And he would have to go back in and do another surgery in about a year. So her sophomore year, he performed the next surgery. He went back in and he removed more cholesteatoma because it had started to grow again. Her hearing was like a 75% loss. She had hearing tests, before, after. She healed up pretty well. It was very invasive. There's always a possibility of hitting some nerves, causing paralysis in the face. She missed a couple of weeks of school each time. She had to have a 504 plan because she could not play an instrument. She could not blow into any instrument, and this started in her freshman year. She had to be careful of injuries or being bumped or falling, things like that. And so all of the teachers were made aware through the 504 plan of the needs that Vanessa had. Let's see. Then in the summer before her junior year, he did another surgery. He decided while he was in the ear that he would reconstruct her eardrum so that he could see around the corner to find to be able to see from the outside if the cholesteatoma was growing back. He put in the prosthesis, and the eardrum was, it's a reconstructed eardrum, and she healed up from that. And of course she had to miss out on band 3 years in a row, starting out the school year, which was unfortunate, but she could not play the flute. Then the final surgery that she had was in February of her junior year. He went in through the ear canal, so it was much less invasive. He lifted up the eardrum. He had to repair a hole and also look in the view to make sure the cholesteatoma was not coming back. She never was able to hear any better, and the prosthesis that he put in there to take the place of the bones did not work. Her eardrum was just kind of flapped over it like floppy and didn't have the tautness. And so that summer before her senior year, he recommended a hearing aid.
I've always told Vanessa that she didn't actually have a disability and that people needed to be accepting of the fact that she had a hearing aid. It's nothing to be ashamed of. In our world, we have to accept everyone's differences, and if people don't accept hearing aids and make fun of that, then they're not being very enlightened. Now, are they?